From the very beginning, long before Vegeta became the ruthless warrior that defined Dragon Ball Z, he was already feared across the universe as a child, and the clearest window we have into the raw, terrifying potential he possesses come from an unexpected place, the Dragon Ball Z episode of Bardock movie. Even though the story centers around Bardock, the film gives us a brief but critical glimpse into the Saiyan royal family, enough to establish just how monstrous Vegeta already was during his early years. In this period, Vegeta is around 5 to 7 years old, and even at that age, the adults around him don't treat him like an average Saiyan kid. Vegeta's own elites speak about him carefully, almost cautiously, referring to the royal bloodline as something inherently dangerous. Vegeta isn't talked about like a trainee, they discuss him like a future problem, a warrior who could one day rival the Frieza Force itself. That kind of dialogue already separates him from every other Saiyan of that time. The numbers from this era paint an even clearer picture. Low-class Saiyans typically hovered around 100 to 400 power level. Mid-class fighters push into the low thousands, and elite warriors of King Vegeta's class broke past 8,000. But Kid Vegeta is constantly referenced in guides, tie-ins, and background material as surpassing the power of fully grown elite soldiers while still a child. Most estimates place him between 6 and 10,000 in power, with some interpretations pushing him just shy of King Vegeta's own level. If true, this means young Vegeta was already stronger than Bardock, stronger than the vast majority of Saiyans, and stronger than most of Frieza's personally selected troops. Episode of Bardock doesn't show Vegeta in a full battle, but what it does show is enough. We see him training with a level of confidence and posture that resembles a miniature adult elite. Fighting against Cybermen that have a power of 1200, basically the strength of an adult Raditz, is very impressive. There's no clumsiness, no child uncertainty, he moves like someone raised for war. Other material from this era even implies Vegeta went on planetary purge missions when he was barely old enough to speak in full sentences. King Vegeta's demeanor towards him also says everything. The king, a man terrified of Frieza yet prideful to the core, treats his son not with softness but with certainty. Vegeta is expected to surpass the king, and he is treated like the future of the Saiyan race because that's exactly what he was. And when comparing him to the Frieza Force, things get even clearer. Average elite soldiers in Frieza's army sit in the 2 to 5,000 range. The Ginyu Force jumps into the tens of thousands and beyond, but no one below the special Frieza Force tier is even close to the prince. King Vegeta couldn't take on Zarbon or Dodoria yet, but he absolutely could dismantle entire squadrons of Frieza's elites. In fact, he was likely the strongest child in the franchise's history, stronger than Kid Goku from early Dragon Ball, stronger than young Nappa, and stronger than Raditz even as a grown adult. By combining everything from statements, guidebooks, and what the special implies, Kid Vegeta's starting point becomes undeniable. At a minimum, he's around 4,000. More realistically, he sits between 6 and 10,000. At his theoretical peak for his age, he might only be a step below King Vegeta himself, meaning that this child could have wiped out entire battalions, conquered planets, and slaughtered almost every fighter in Bardock's generation without ever transforming. And that's exactly why Frieza kept him on a tight leash. In the Emperor's eyes, a full-grown Vegeta wasn't just a warrior, he was a threat, one Frieza intended to control or exterminate. By the time Vegeta arrives on Earth during the Saiyan Saga, the quiet implications we saw during his childhood have fully materialized. The prodigy who was once whispered about in Frieza's ranks has now shown growth into a terrifying adult warrior, one of the strongest pure-blooded Saiyans in existence, and a fighter whose power dwarfs the entire Z-Fighter roster combined. Decades of missions, purges, and brutal survival under Frieza's command have forged him into a battle-hardened monster, and the Frieza invasion marks the first time we truly see what the potential has become. When Vegeta lands on Earth alongside Nappa, his strength is no longer something inferred or theorized. It's measured openly by scouters. Multiple readings place Vegeta's base power at 18,000, a number that in early Dragon Ball Z represents an almost godlike gap between him and any other hero on Earth. To put this into perspective, Goku's highest recorded power during the battle with Vegeta after training under King Kai using Kaioken and risking his life still doesn't naturally reach Vegeta's base level. Vegeta is so confident in his superiority that he spends most of the invasion sitting back and letting Nappa entertain himself. Not out of laziness, but out of a belief that nothing on the planet could possibly push him. And he's not really wrong. When Vegeta finally enters the battle, the entire tone of the story changes. He's calm, emotionless, and surgical. His blows carry a level of controlled, refined power that none of the Z fighters have ever faced. Every kick, every punch, and every movement shows that Vegeta doesn't just have raw power, he has elite training, elite instincts, and absolute mastery over his body. This is the true demonstration of what an upper-class Saiyan warrior looks like in his prime. Relentless, efficient, and utterly merciless. But what really defines Vegeta during this era is his sheer versatility. Unlike most characters in early Dragon Ball Z who rely solely on physical combat or basic ki attacks, Vegeta possesses a wide range of destructive techniques. His Galick Gun in particular stands out, not just as a flashy attack, but as a technique strong enough to rival Goku's Kamehameha even with Kaioken amplifying it. The fact that Goku needs to push his body to the brink, stacking Kaioken times 3 and then briefly Kaioken times 4 just to match a Buu for Vegeta performs in base form illustrates the overwhelming difference between them. And yet, that's just one aspect of Vegeta's strength. His durability is borderline absurd. Even after being battered by Goku, crushed by Gohan, and mauled by Yajirobe, Vegeta survives an attack that would vaporize weaker fighters instantly. His tenacity becomes a showcase of Saiyan biology at its peak, especially when he transforms into a Grade A. With the artificial moon technique, Vegeta multiplies his power by 10, pushing him to an estimated 180,000, a level of force so overwhelming that Goku already crippled from his Kaioken usage. match. Can't even put up a fight. Every punch from Ozaru Vegeta is like a natural disaster. Mountains disintegrate, the ground collapses between his footsteps, and Goku is utterly helpless. This is the Vegeta that the universe once feared but surpassed the Saiyan King, and possibly even challenged Frieza someday. After barely escaping Earth with his life, Vegeta enters the Frieza Saga at a crossroads. His defeat at the hands of Goku wasn't just a setback, it was a humiliation that shattered his identity as the strongest Saiyan alive. But for a Saiyan, defeat is never the end, it's a catalyst, and by the time Vegeta arrives on Namek, he's no longer the same warrior who invaded Earth. He's angrier, hungrier, and evolving at a speed that even Frieza's empire fails to notice until it's too late. Vegeta's power skyrockets the moment he recovers from his wounds. Saiyan biology gives him a Zenkai boost so significant that he immediately surpasses his old 18,000 reading, pushing himself to the low to mid 20,000. But this is only the beginning. Namek becomes a brutal playground for Vegeta's growth, and he exploits every opportunity with cold precision. Every battle, every injury, every near-death moment becomes fuel. Vegeta isn't just fighting for the Dragon Balls, he's fighting to break his limits of his bloodline, and he does. The moment he betrays Frieza and kills Kui, we see how far he's already come. Kui's scouter pegs him far above his Earth-level strength, and the fight isn't even close. Vegeta overwhelms him effortlessly, then moves on to Dodoria, another soldier who once terrified lower-class Saiyans. Dodoria is shocked when his attacks do nothing, Vegeta smirks, and this is the first time we witness Vegeta tasting real dominance. Not the arrogance he had on Earth, but the true confidence of someone who knows he's growing faster than anyone in the universe. But the real turning point arrives when Vegeta clashes with Zarbon. The first battle humbles him. Zarbon's transformation takes Vegeta by surprise and leaves him broken and dying, but that defeat becomes the single most important moment of the early arc. When Vegeta is thrown into the healing chamber afterwards, his Zenkai boost is monstrous. This recovery hurls him into the 30,000 range, high enough to crush Zarbon in their rematch and terrify Frieza's remaining forces. And it's from this point onward that Vegeta is unhinged. He stops hiding, stops running, and starts fighting with the desperation and fury of a warrior who finally sees a path to surpassing Frieza. He tears through Frieza's troops, eliminating entire squads on instinct, and even goes toe-to-toe with the Ginyu Force, a group of once considered untouchable. And it's his battle against Recoome that showcases how far he's come, and how far he still has to go. Vegeta hits harder than ever before, but Recoome's durability still eclipses him. Yet, even in that losing effort, Vegeta's power is staggering. Recoome himself acknowledges his strength, and Captain Ginyu, reading Vegeta's energy from afar, notes that Vegeta's power is rising at an alarming rate. Then comes another brutal near-death experience after Recoome wipes him out, and when Vegeta recovers again, the transformation is undeniable. His Zenkai skyrockets him into the 200,000 range, levels that only a handful of beings in the entire galaxy could match. Vegeta is now operating in a tier that only Frieza's higher forms surpass. This is where Vegeta's pride reaches its peak, and where the tragedy of his arc reveals itself. When Frieza transforms into his second and third form, Vegeta's bravado makes him believe he's finally become the legendary Super Saiyan. He has no way of understanding how far beyond him Frieza truly is. His attacks bounce off, his aura once overwhelming now feels fragile, and Frieza dismantles him effortlessly. Vegeta's disbelief becomes desperation, and desperation becomes fear, the one emotion Vegeta has spent his entire life avoiding. But it's in his battle against Final Form Frieza that delivers one of the most character-defining moments in the entire saga. Vegeta's tears. For the first time, the prince who believed he stood above all others is forced to confront the truth. He never had a chance. Frieza wasn't just stronger, he had been playing God with Vegeta's entire race. The realization breaks him. His arrogance dies, and for the first time in the series, Vegeta speaks not as a proud Saiyan, but as a broken son. And yet, in that moment of vulnerability, Vegeta achieves something far greater than a power-up. He earns Goku's empathy. His death speech triggers the awakening of one who had become the true Super Saiyan. Even though Vegeta never reaches the form here, his struggle is the final push that changes the course of the universe. His suffering, his pride, his desperation, all of it becomes the emotional fuse that lights Goku's transformation. The Frieza Saga doesn't end with Vegeta victorious, it ends with him defeated, but transformed on the inside. The arc strips away his illusions and prepares him for his truth he would chase for the rest of his life. The goal of not just needing to surpass Frieza, but Goku as well. When Vegeta enters the Android Saga, carrying the weight of Namek on his shoulders, that humiliation at the hands of Frieza, the constant reminders that he was never the chosen one, all of it festered into pure obsession. And that obsession becomes the fuel that finally pushes him past the wall even he once thought impossible. Because by the time the androids arrived, Vegeta had achieved what no other Saiyan before ever could, Super Saiyan. But Vegeta's path to his transformation is nothing like Goku's. Goku had grief, loss, and an emotional breaking point. Vegeta had rage, pride, and a suffocating pressure of falling behind. As he trained alone in deep space, he reached a point where his body was pushed beyond exhaustion. His pod malfunctioned, a meteor storm ripped into him, and he's forced to fight for his life with nothing left. No strategy, no calm mind, just raw fury and refusal to die. In that moment, as he cursed the universe for daring to hold him down, the wall shattered, and for the first time in his life, Vegeta tasted that golden power. What makes Vegeta Super Saiyan special is how aggressively he used it right away. There's no adjustment phase, no period of balance or emotional confusion like Goku had on Namek. Vegeta treats Super Saiyan as a weapon, an extension of his bitterness that's been building in him since childhood, and we see that immediately when he encounters Android 19. Up to this point, everyone thinks the androids are unstoppable machines far beyond even Goku. but Vegeta steps forward with absolute confidence, and he proves exactly why. His first Super Saiyan fight is pure dominance. He overwhelms 19 so badly that the android's energy-stealing gimmick becomes pointless. Vegeta even lets 19 latch onto him just to show that it won't matter. He forces himself up through the drain, smirks, and then blows the android's arm off with a single kick. It's one of the most disrespectful, overwhelming displays of power in the entire saga, and it establishes Vegeta as once again the strongest fighter on Earth. This version of Vegeta, Android Saga Super Saiyan Vegeta, is a monster. His power is sharp, jagged, and reckless, and you can feel how angry the transformation makes him, how much it amplifies everything he hates about being number 2. But the sharp power has a sharp downside. When Android 17 and 18 appear, Vegeta rushes in believing he's reached a final plateau, and to his credit, he isn't wrong about being strong, but the gap between him and the true androids is bigger than anything he imagined. His fight with Android 18 is one of the most important moments in Vegeta's entire arc. He starts confident, cocky even. For the first time since Namek, he genuinely believes he's untouchable. And while he has flashes of dominance, 18 slowly breaks him down. Her infinite stamina allows her to stay calm and collected while Vegeta burns through heavy energy at a rate that he can't keep up with. But more importantly, this fight exposes the weakness beneath Vegeta's bravado, his emotional instability. Every missed hit, every blocked punch digs deeper into his pride, and that frustration pushes him into mistakes. 18's final kick shatters his arm, symbolically and breaking the illusion that Super Saiyan made him superior. This defeat becomes another turning point. Vegeta isn't just beaten, he's humiliated, and that humiliation sets him on the path towards something darker. A new transformation born not from rage or despair, but from pure, overwhelming obsession. After the humiliation at the hands of Android 18, Vegeta disappears into the gravity chamber with the fury that shakes the entire foundation of Capsule Corp. This is the moment where Vegeta's obsession becomes his entire identity. Being surpassed and being embarrassed, or treated like a background character in a story he believes he was born to dominate, is something he refuses to accept. And so begins the most intense period of training that he's ever undergone. This rage eventually crystallizes into something new, what fans call Ascendant Super Saiyan or Super Vegeta. Unlike Goku's eventual mastery of the original transformation, Vegeta chose the brute force route, maximizing raw power even at the cost of speed and stamina. But here's the thing. Even though the form is flawed, the results are undeniable. When Vegeta emerges from the Room of Spirit and Time, he is an entirely different monster. And Cell, at least the imperfect version, realizes this instantly. When Vegeta confronts semi-perfect Cell, the power gap between them is brutal. Cell, who just absorbed entire cities and who had been hyped as the perfect predator, is suddenly reduced to prey by Vegeta. Vegeta's punches fold Cell's body and his ki blast rip through him with casual ease. This is not a fight, this is Vegeta dismantling a biological weapon with the cold confidence of someone who finally feels like the universe is recognizing his birthright. But that confidence becomes the opening for Vegeta's greatest weakness. Cell begs Vegeta to let him absorb Android 18, and Vegeta, drunk on his own power, agrees. Not out of mercy and not out of strategy, but out of arrogance. He wants to be the one to crush Cell at his peak. He wants the story to end with him proving he is the strongest Saiyan ever born, beating a fully evolved bio-android with his bare hands. Pride as philosophy, pride as narrative, and pride as self-destruction. And the moment Cell transforms into his perfect form, every ounce of Vegeta's confidence evaporates. Perfect Cell is on another plane of existence entirely. His speed is so sharp Vegeta can't track him. His strikes are so precise they feel effortless. Vegeta throws everything he has, the final flash included, and for a moment he seems like he might actually break through. The beam devastates Cell's arm, obliterates half of the landscape, and proves that Vegeta's power isn't some illusion. But even that isn't enough. Cell regenerates, smiles, and makes it clear that Vegeta is once again several steps behind the summit. This defeat digs a bit deeper than the one from Android 18, because this time Vegeta wasn't just beaten, he was exposed. His entire belief system and the idea that pride alone could elevate him beyond destiny crumbles. But Vegeta's arc in the Cell Saga doesn't end with failure. When Cell creates the Cell Juniors and targets Gohan, he tries to break the spirit of every fighter on the battlefield. Vegeta sees something he didn't expect, his own son being tortured, and in that instant, the pride that blinded him transforms into something different, something pure. Vegeta unleashes a full power blast on Cell, not for glory or for dominance, but out of genuine fury at watching Trunks die. Later on, when Gohan is in the beam struggle with Cell, he launches a blast at him. The attack doesn't hurt Cell, but it does something far more important. It cracks Cell's focus long enough for Gohan to obliterate him. And for the first time in the entire saga, Vegeta wasn't thinking about being surpassed, just about putting Cell down for good. And it's in this saga where Vegeta's pride reaches its breaking point, and where his humanity begins to grow in its shadow. Vegeta's journey into the Buu Saga begins with a man who has seen too much. He has survived battles that shattered planets, faced foes that could erase entire solar systems, and confronted the ultimate horrors of his own pride. But with peace on Earth comes frustration. Goku, his longtime rival, continues to surpass him effortlessly, and Vegeta's obsession with power has never been stronger. His identity, built on being the elite Saiyan Prince, the warrior that's unmatched, is being challenged by not just just his enemies, but by the simplest march of time and relentless progression of those around him. When the Babidi arc begins, Vegeta is initially cautious. He has grown in strength, mastering the Super Saiyan transformation fully and reaching heights that surpass even his previous ascendant Super Saiyan form. Yet beneath the calm exterior, a storm rages. Vegeta's pride is unbearable. Prior, he believed that he was powerful enough to defeat Goku if he taps into every ounce of his potential, but the thought of doing so without some edge gnaws at him. Then later on, when Vegeta sees how powerful Goku really has become and how far he's still left in the dust, this ignites something within him. When Babidi appears, promising power beyond his imagination and the perfect opportunity for Vegeta to reclaim what he believes is rightfully his, he takes it. Accepting Babidi's magic isn't a surrender, it's a calculated choice. Vegeta allows himself to be possessed, but only partially. The magic amplifies his strength, tapping into the deepest reserves of his rage and pride, and unlocking his true potential. Super Saiyan 2 flows through him with unmatched intensity. His aura sees this raw, violent energy, and every strike, every ki blast is sharper and faster, more devastating than anything he has ever wielded. This is Majin Vegeta, the culmination of decades of training, obsession, and ambition. What makes Majin Vegeta terrifying isn't just his strength, it's his mindset. He fights not for survival, not for glory, but to prove his dominance, to assert even that fate cannot surpass him. He battles Goku with a ferocity and intensity that leaves the earth shaking, the mountains crumbling, and every observer in awe. Every attack is fused with hatred, every moment of declaration is superiority. And yet, beneath all that, there is a trace of Vegeta, the man that partially still loves his family, values his son, and recognizes the world beyond his own pride. Despite Goku's 7 years of training in Otherworld without a body, Vegeta is able to match him blow for blow, with some even arguing he had a slight edge if you're watching the anime depiction. The climax of Majin Vegeta's arc comes in his confrontation with the evil within him, when he chooses to sacrifice himself to destroy Majin Buu. The decision is almost paradoxical. He is giving up his life, the ultimate display of vulnerability, yet is also the most powerful and proud statement of all. It's proof that Vegeta is not just a warrior defined by arrogance or obsession. He is capable of growth, capable of love, and of choosing his own path, even at the cost of everything he's ever valued. By the end of the Buu Saga, Majin Vegeta stands as a testament to the complexity of power and pride. And while he falls in battle and fades from the battlefield, his impact is undeniable, setting the stage for everything that comes next. Vegeta has survived, been broken, rebuilt, and transcended every limit placed before him. From a child with untapped potential to a warrior who embraces his darkest impulses, he has become one of the most formidable and complex characters in the universe. After a sacrifice against Majin Buu, Vegeta finds himself in the afterlife, but death is never permanent for the Saiyan Prince. Through the intervention of Baba the Fortune Teller, he is granted a second chance at life and brought back to Earth. For the first time, Vegeta is no longer driven solely by pride or obsession, though the edge never fully disappeared. Instead, he returns with a sharper understanding of his own limitations, tempered by existence and the memory of the ultimate sacrifice he once made. Earth is under threat once again, this time by the fusion of Buu, and the evil within creating Buuhan, a warrior so overwhelming that even Goku struggles to match him. Vegeta immediately recognizes the stakes, and his pride would normally prevent him from fighting alongside anyone, but this is not a fight for superiority, it's a fight for survival. As he joins Goku on the battlefield, it becomes clear how much he's evolved. His mastery of Super Saiyan is flawless, his strikes precise, and his battle instincts honed to near perfection. Together, they challenge Buuhan with coordinated attacks, trading blows with a being whose power dwarfs anything the Z fighters have ever faced. But even their combined might is not enough. Buu's regeneration, speed, and destructive capacity push them both to the edge. Every fast fire by Vegeta requires maximum focus, every block counter, and as Buuhan begins to overwhelm them, desperation drives the ultimate solution, which is fusion. Vegeta and Goku fuse into the Potara earrings, creating Vegito, a warrior of unimaginable power. Vegito is not just a combination of two fighters, he is the culmination of Vegeta's pride and Goku's adaptability. His speed is blinding, his power is astronomical, and his technique is flawless. Even Buuhan struggles to keep up. Vegito dismantles his foe with precision and strikes with overwhelming energy. Yet, even after the fusion is undone, Vegeta's journey continues. In the filler arc set within the Mind Trap, he faces Gotenks' clones and Piccolo in a psychological battle that tests not just his strength, but his mind and strategy. And he's easily able to handle both of them, both of whom were stated to be the same level that they were prior to being absorbed, meaning Vegeta had gained a substantial power boost since he was surpassed in Majin Vegeta by Gotenks some time ago. Finally, Vegeta faces the ultimate test, which is against Kid Buu. Unlike Buuhan, Kid Buu is pure chaos incarnate, unpredictable, relentless, and utterly destructive. Vegeta attacks with everything in his arsenal, unleashing Super Saiyan 2 and perfected techniques honed over decades. Every blast, every strike is delivered with calculated precision and designed not just to harm, but to protect the planet and buy Goku the time needed for the Spirit Bomb. He absorbs punishment that would destroy universes and fights with both heart and skill and proves why he is still the Prince of all Saiyans. When the Spirit Bomb finally obliterates Kid Buu, Vegeta stands victorious, not because of brute force alone, but because of growth. I mean, after all, the Spirit Bomb was Vegeta's idea.